Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Coin of World. Today we are going to talk in long detail about a coin that carries a very strong meaning and historical value, the coin of In God We Trust Liberty 2022. This coin is not just a piece of currency. It is a reflection of American history, culture, trust, and the journey of the nation. Over centuries, to fully understand the story of this coin, we must go deep into the professional history of the motto, the designs, the engravings, and the symbolic meaning behind every feature of this coin without skipping even the smallest detail. The phrase, "In God We Trust," is not new in American history. It has a long professional history that connects to the Civil War era, when it was first added to coins in the year 1864, at a time when the United States was going through one of its darkest periods of division and war. The motto came as a sign of unity, faith, and resilience. Gradually, this phrase became a permanent part of the American identity. Later, in 1956, it was officially declared as the national motto of the United States, and it has appeared on every piece of American coinage and paper money since then. The Liberty coin of 2022 continues this legacy. It is not only a currency but also a symbol that connects the present to the past. The 2022 Liberty coin shows the progression of the U.S. Mint in design, technology, and national presentation. On one side you will find the word Liberty boldly written, a reminder of the American foundation built on freedom and democracy. Alongside this appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," which carries deep cultural, religious, and historical significance. These two inscriptions together highlight the balance of freedom and faith in the American story. On the other side, the coin usually carries the year 2022, which stamps the moment in history when it was minted and marks its presence for future generations. If we study the history of Liberty coins professionally, we see that the idea of liberty on coins started much earlier, even back in the late 18th century when the first U.S. coins were minted. Liberty was often represented by a figure of a woman, a symbolic personification of freedom and independence. The 2022 coin continues this tradition, but with more modern engravings and refined details that represent the 21st century era. From a numismatic professional point of view, this coin is important not just for its face value but also for its collectible worth. Collectors always seek coins like the 2022 Liberty because they are tied to a specific year and carry the national motto, the phrase. In the 2-hour deep history of this coin, we can talk about the evolution of the U.S. Mint from its establishment in 1792 to the present day, how different mints like Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and West Point played a role in shaping coins, including the Liberty series. We can go into detail about the metals used in the 2022 coin, the copper-nickel composition, the weight, the diameter, and why these technical details matter for collectors and historians. We can also discuss how the motto, "In God We Trust," traveled from a suggestion by religious leaders during the Civil War to being adopted by Congress and then permanently inscribed on coins. This professional history is not just about metal. It is about values. The Liberty coin of 2022 represents freedom, faith, and unity. It represents the belief that a nation can survive through struggle and still hold on to its identity in every period, whether it was the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, or the modern era. The coin carries the unbroken line of continuity, with the national motto and liberty standing side by side. Therefore, the "In God We Trust Liberty" 2022 coin is not only a piece of currency but also a 2-hour long story of American struggle, belief, progress, and hope. And in this video we will unfold each chapter slowly, moving from the history of the motto to the history of Liberty designs from the technical details of the 2022 coin to the cultural significance it carries from the perspective of collectors, historians and ordinary citizens who see this coin as a connection to their nation. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Coin of World. Today we are going to explore the history, the design, the background and the professional story behind the 5-cent coin of Australia, from the year 2008, which bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and this is not just a small coin of metal but a symbol of history, culture, economy and the identity of a nation. When we look at the 5-cent coin of Australia, we see a design that is deeply rooted in the traditions of Australian numismatics. The obverse of the coin carries the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley, which has been used on many Commonwealth coins since the late 1990s. This portrait shows the Queen facing to the right with a crown, and it symbolizes not only her role as the head of state of Australia, but also the strong constitutional ties between Australia and the monarchy of the United Kingdom. The reverse of the coin features the echidna, which is one of the most unique and distinctive animals of Australia. It was designed by Stuart Devlin, who was the goldsmith and jeweller appointed as the official coin designer for the decimal coinage of Australia in 1966. The echidna, also called the spiny anteater, represents the incredible biodiversity of the continent, and its placement on the 5-cent coin reminds us that the currency of a nation can also carry a message about its natural heritage. The 5-cent coin was introduced in 1966, when Australia transitioned from the old system of pound shillings and pence to the decimal system, and it replaced the pre-decimal sixpence in value. At that time, the 5-cent coin became one of the lowest denomination coins used in circulation, and it remained in everyday transactions for decades. By 2008, the coin was already over 40 years in use, which tells us that this piece is part of a long-standing tradition of Australian currency. When we talk about the history of the 5-cent coin, we must also understand the economic context in which it circulated over the years. Inflation has reduced the purchasing power of the coin, and many people considered the 5-cent piece to be of very little use in modern transactions, but it still continued to be minted and circulated because of its role in maintaining the structure of pricing and transactions in the economy. In 2008, millions of these coins were struck at the Royal Australian Mint, which is located in Canberra and serves as the main institution responsible for producing the circulating coinage of Australia. Every coin minted there goes through strict standards of quality and design to ensure that it carries not just monetary value but also a cultural and national significance. The 2008 issue of the 5-cent coin is not particularly rare, but it represents an important period in the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, as she continued to appear on the coinage of multiple nations across the Commonwealth. In that year, Australia was also in a period of economic stability and growth, and the copper nickel, it weighs 2.83 grams and has a diameter of 19.41 millimeters with a plain edge. These details may seem small, but they are important for collectors, historians and numismatists who study every aspect of coinage in order to preserve history and knowledge. Coins like the 5-cent Australia 2008 are not only pieces of change but also part of a much larger story that connects design, economy, history, and national identity. When you hold such a coin in your hand, you are actually holding a piece of art created by skilled designers, approved by governments, and used by millions of people in their daily lives. This transforms the coin into a witness of time. Every scratch on its surface tells the story of how It has travelled from one pocket to another, from one shop counter to another across the country. The coin also serves as a reminder of the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who was one of the most widely depicted figures on coinage in world history. Her portrait on the obverse side of this coin from 2008 reflects not just her authority but also her symbolic role in uniting people under shared traditions and heritage. To make a professional and long detailed history, we can also go back and see how coins with her portrait evolved through different portraits and effigies. Earlier coins featured the young head by Mary Gillick. Later ones had the Raphael McCloof design, and by the late 1990s Ian Rank Broadley's effigy was in place. Each of these portraits reflects different stages of the life of the Queen and different eras in the history of the Commonwealth. Similarly, the Echidna design by Stuart Devlin is part of a much larger series of Australian decimal coins where every denomination featured a native animal. For example, the 1-cent coin had the feather-tailed glider, the 2-cent coin had the frilled neck lizard, the 10-cent coin had the lyrebird, the 20-cent coin had the platypus, and the 50-cent coin had the coat of arms. This systematic choice of designs shows how Australia used its coinage to celebrate its wildlife and identity in a unique way. If we expand our history even further, we see that coins have always been more than just tools of trade. They are reflections of art, politics, and society. The 5-cent coin of 2008 may seem small and simple, but it connects us to the broader history of Australian currency, to the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II, and to the unique heritage of Australia itself. Collectors value such coins not because they are rare, but because they form part of a complete narrative of coinage and numismatic study. When you put together coins from different years, you create a timeline that tells you how a nation changed and grew over time. This is why coins are sometimes called history in your pocket. So friends, as we look at the Australia 5-cent coin of 2008,